99.5 FM, the only radio station in Galveston County, the number one radio station in Galveston County. I got AJ with Hippie Fertilizing in studio. I'm going to kick it on the FM. We're going to have some fun today. Let me know what you got going on today. Feel free to share this out. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy. I got my good friend AJ with Hippie Fertilizing in studio. What's up, AJ? How you doing?
Doing really well, man. We went through a bunch of rain, right? I know sometimes Texas weather, we can forget real quick, like it rained.
Yeah.
For a week and a half straight. It did. Which kind of makes me think it's starting to get summertime, right? I think the average temperatures right now are somewhere in the low 90s. So the real feels a little hotter than that. I learned this last year because we had something very similar happen. And what happened with a lot of customers and a lot of people, it rained for a week and a half. So a lot of people did what they should have done and turned off their irrigation. Like, if it's raining, turn it off, right?
Yeah.
Because I say that, and you probably are thinking like, well, duh, wouldn't that be common sense? You'd be surprised how many people forget because it comes on at like 4 or 5 in the morning, so they don't see it, and it stays on. But here's the other thing. Don't forget to turn it back on. Okay?
Does your grass get used to that much water? Like if it rains for 2 weeks straight and it's like, there's moisture, there's water, there's enough, and then like all of a sudden it stops raining and it gets super hot.
Yeah, it's like, so this guy on this YouTube channel, he called it, he said, it's rain drunk.
Mm-hmm, right.
Okay? Yeah, because the temperatures are cooler, like it's keeping it fluctuating between the 70s and the 80s instead of like the 70s to 100.
Yeah.
Our nighttime temperatures right now are like kind of bouncing around 80 degrees. So soil temperatures right now are awesome for growth. But to go back to what you said, yes, they get used to that. So my recommendation is if we get a heavy rain for a few days, okay, water the lawn within about 3 days after the last rain because it's going to need a pick-me-up. Mm-hmm. It's getting hot. It's not good to go from one extreme to the other, especially when we want these beautiful manicured lawns.
Yeah.
Right?
I do have to say, I love whenever you're in studio because there's a couple things. One, I always learn some really good information that I can use, like starting today, like right now,
mm-hmm.
to make my my yard and actually, and it sounds funny to say, but make like the community and the world a better place.
Thank you.
And it starts with me, and then more people that do it, the better. The other thing I have to give a shout out because you bring breakfast and you bring tacos and this uptime. So I love whenever you're in studio. You're the best.
Hey, man, I love being here. I love that, you give me an outlet to have a bigger reach than I normally would have, right? So it's super cool. I've seen some people and met some people here, and they're like, oh, man, weren't you on the radio with Gardy? I'm like, yeah, I was. Yeah. And I've had some people walking around. A couple weeks ago, I was at Kroger's, walked out of Kroger's, and they're like looking around. Girlfriend didn't know where she parked the car, and, the dude's looking like, whoops. And I'm like, yeah, it happens. He's like, hey, you're that guy on YouTube. I'm like,
nobody knows grass like a hippie, saying your catchphrase and stuff.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Right?
Very cool. Very cool.
I love this experience. In fact, soon here, I'm going to try and set up a room to where it's kind of more like my studio.
Podcast spot.
Podcast or better for YouTube, my YouTube channel. I want to make like shorter videos, kind of go into the A to Zinc of lawn fertilizing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, as we've said before, it's like more than NPK, right? And I just want to have like, be able to have a little bit more fun, but I love the fact that I get to educate people, right? Because it's not really about lawn care for me. At all. Sorry, guys. I know, raining on your parade here, okay? I'm not here to teach you how to kill weeds and all that stuff. I'm here to educate you on the kind of impact that we do have with our lawns, because it's huge, right? Like, there's a neighborhood whispering Whispering Lakes over on 646?
Yeah, there's a Whispering Lakes over there.
Yeah, I know. I just was like getting the name wrapped up in my head.
Mm-hmm.
A few of them are my customers, right? Which I think is awesome because they have acre lots,
Yeah,
right?
that's nice.
How many square foot's in an acre?
I don't know. I was about to say how many feet are in a mile. 5,200.
It's like
How many?
It's like 42,560 or something like that.
Okay.
Almost 43,000 square feet. That's a lot, right? You know, and I like always translate it to terms of like fertilizer because your average bag of fertilizer covers roughly like 4,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man, someone's saving 10 bags of chemical stuff when they go organic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what is that? That's all like usually about 40 pounds. That's 400 pounds of a product that's not getting used because people decided it's more important to support soil biology.
Yeah, and so Whispering Lakes, we just need to get everybody in Whispering Lakes to be a customer of Hippie Fertilizing because so all of those lots, not all of them, but I believe maybe all of them, there's like the lakes and stuff that they build around there, so everything kind of drains into there.
Absolutely.
But there's all the, the fish and the other stuff.
Turtles, ducks, lots of other birds and other wildlife. But think about it. I mean, don't you live like in hidden lakes?
I do.
There's all these lakes around here, right? So we all should be conscious of it regardless of the neighborhood, like Tuscan Lakes. I live right next to Tuscan Lakes. What are the other neighborhood names?
Speaking of lakes and the bay,
Mm-hmm.
do you follow the City of Leak City on Facebook?
I don't actually.
Okay, so City of Leak City government, they posted a picture of a billboard, and they posted it on social media. So if you go follow them, maybe you've seen it. But it's in Houston, and it's heading south, and it says vacation, visit Leak City, like exit 23, and it had somebody looking out, and it looked like there was like sailboats, and they're out there at the dock, and the reactions to it were interesting because people were like, "Where is that in Leak City? Is the South Shore Harbor like the one spot?"
Oh my!
I didn't comment on it, but I was like, "Oh, that is interesting." But they were talking about like when you go on a vacation to the Bay, maybe Seabrook and Kima are enjoying that free publicity.
So here's the deal. I used to help out with like Clear Creek Environmental Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the opportunity to go to the, BPA, Bayou Preservation Association out in Houston, a couple of their meetings and kind of get some different knowledge and some different aspects of things. So to go more into what you just said, Clear Creek goes out to Clear Lake, which goes out to the bay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Clear Lake has one of the larger marinas in the United States. It's huge. People don't realize how huge it is. Just like we don't realize that we live right next door to NASA, right?
Become numb to it.
Yeah, and then like we live right next door to like the boardwalk. Like, oh, you live right there? Like, yeah, I never go. Ever.
Yeah, you can see the post they did in the billboard, but it was just interesting to see. It's like that's what they're marketing.
So this is kind of cool. If I'm not mistaken, that lighthouse thing is more on the Kima side, like Marina Bay Drive.
Yeah,
there's a couple roads you go out, and that's where you see that lighthouse in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can go right there on the water from getting on the boat ramp at Walter Hall Park in Leak City, getting on the boat ramp at Egret Bay and 270, also like in Leak City, Webster, right? And then there's another boat ramp on Nass Road 1 that goes more right into the lake area. So yeah, we have a couple 100,000 people all connected to Clear Creek, Clear Lake, Galveston Bay, and it's like, hey, this is my backyard.
Yeah, and if you put the chemicals and all that stuff, it's going to drain in there and then get back out to the bay, and it just does a lot of harm.
Right. So we've talked about this before, but I know it's a very it's a big topic. So just like other big things, it's kind of easily overlooked, honestly, right? Or forgotten about. We get into our day-to-day lives, and trust me, there's a lot of good information out there. I forget it all the time, right?
Yeah.
I'm human. We all are. But my point is like right now, we talk about the temperatures heating up. Well, guess what happens with water as the temperatures rise?
I'm just gonna, and I could be wrong, but I'm guessing it starts to evaporate more, or just like starts disappearing.
That's also accurate. I
Okay.
mean, solid answer.
Okay.
But where I would be going with this in terms of like what we do to our lawns and how it impacts it is oxygen levels go lower.
Okay.
As the water heats up. All right? And then something that pushes that even further is like bacteria and algae and stuff really speed up with the heat. Okay? So that pushes forward that word that I've used quite a few times, but it's a big one, eutrophication.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Eutrophication impacts all kinds of stuff, or we get like extra growth, say in these smaller creek areas and into bigger creek areas. And so one of the things that tends to be an issue is flooding. Like the other week, friggin' Bay Cliff flooded. People were going off the road.
I saw that.
Right? So flooding is an issue, but the other side of it is like if we're doing stuff to push all this growth synthetically, right? It's going to push growth in other places. And what's that going to do?
Cause issues with drainage and flooding.
Exactly, because it's gonna like stop it up. It's gonna back it up.
Wow. There's a lot of things that you don't think about, and the consequences that it may cause somebody else by you doing something.
Right.
A small act.
Oh, and the biggest one, and I know I talk about it a lot, or I have, and I'm gonna keep talking about it because it's like the more and more people I meet, the more and more people that just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when I say use molasses on your lawns, mix it with water. Yeah, it's great. It's got, iron, potassium, magnesium, manganese, zinc, B vitamins, yada, yada. Okay, the other thing is this. Lawn chemicals are 100% associated with stuff like skin allergies. All right, and your dog's getting sick. And, having like immune issues. I have had so many people time and time and time again tell me, oh, I don't know what's wrong with my dog, but they're puking and their skin is like this and like that, and I go and get medication for them so it will alleviate some of this stuff. And seriously, like 1, 2, 3 months after using my services, their dogs clear up. Clear up. And then just as we're talking about it just now, it kind of dawns on me, like, because they're exposed to chemicals, you have to give them more junk to alleviate the issues.
And it's and usually, I guess those medications are trying to cover it. When you say like alleviate, just like cover the Band-Aid the issue, not actually fix the root of the issue.
Right.
Just like it's a cover up to kind of help make it a little less worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm always 100% going to be geared towards like health and safety are first with Hippie Fertilizing. I don't care about your Dallas grass and your nutsedge and your this sedge and the other species that also have the name grass in them.
I've never heard any of those, by the way. Those are types of grass, or is that what is that? Flower?
Yeah, no, weeds.
Okay, they're weeds.
Right? Yeah. Just biodiversity.
Yes.
But still, and I say it this way because your life, okay, my life, your kid's life, our dogs, they're much more important than spraying the lawn with something that can potentially put your dog down for life.
Right.
Or get your kid sick in a way that you don't even recognize because you don't notice it until months later. And you're like, I don't know what happened,
Yeah.
They're not acting the same. Like, ooh, that stuff messes with like your endocrine system and all these little biological processes in our brains. And like, I'm full of anxiety and I sweat a lot. Hey, you been putting out chemicals? Well, yeah, how did you know? Because your face is like looking twitchy.
Yeah. So earlier we were talking about Leak City and how, the marketing that they put up and all of the drainage, it really does, the lakes and the neighborhoods, everything that's been built. What should those people be doing right now instead of, calling somebody and just putting those chemicals on the yard?
So excellent question. And part of the answer is no matter what time of year it is, because when you're doing things organically, I know we're all geared towards like thinking, I have to fertilize on a schedule, right? And that's okay. You have a lawn, you do need to feed it a lot if you want it to look really, really amazing. It's true. But you can feed it with stuff that feeds the soil first, all right? which is like the difference between us drinking our Uptime. I know we're guilty of drinking energy drinks, or having like a really awesome smoothie.
This is pretty awesome, AJ. I'm not going to lie. This Uptime's delicious.
Yeah, I love it too, man. I do. Okay, but I'm just saying, like, health-wise, long-term wise, like, us having a smoothie or something would be way
the better choice.
I'm sure Dr. Chop would be like, yeah, you should know better, AJ, if you know all this organic stuff. And I'm like, well, I do, but that's why I don't use Roundup. So
yeah,
trying to offset that.
Something else Chop always says, because he'll sit there right in that same chair that you're in and watch me drink an energy drink or watch me drink, something else. But he always says it's your life, it's your health, it's your choice. So that's interesting. It could be the same thing for the yard, but it has more implications than just my life, my health, my choice, because the choices that you make can affect people in Bay Cliff. It can affect people around you, your neighbors, our future generations. If they are, putting stuff on the yard, it drains into
our future
everywhere.
Generations, our neighbors, right? Because I can smell it when people spray certain stuff. I can smell it, I swear, like a block away. And that ain't my choice. Just kind of like, hey, if you smoke, cool, that's what you do. It's what you like. But, like, I don't want to be in the car with you when you're smoking, right? Because I don't smoke. It's not my deal. I ain't, like, I want to expose myself to Uptime, not cigarettes.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, that's my choice. Right, and so yeah, a lot of times, we're my favorite. It's my least favorite, really. When neighbors don't like the natural neighbor, and I'll be like the natural neighbor.
You're the natural neighbor,
right? And so I'm like, hey, it's grass. Like, I'm gonna let it grow. I don't want to water it all the time.
Yeah.
Leave it be. It's soft. It's fluffy. It's good. And then you got the neighbor who's like, well, I just really wanted to fix their lawn, so I put some weed and feed on it. Bro, don't touch my grass. It is not yours. You don't walk around barefoot in my lawn, okay? My dog does. I do. Yeah. Leave my grass alone. Because it happens. It happens a lot.
You've seen that?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
Or what happens a lot, too, is people will say, oh, well, my lawn care guy takes care of it. And I'm like, can he answer all these questions? Does he know what he's doing? He knows how to get out there with a weed eater and a mower. And that's his main job. His main job doesn't do anything with soil or really fixing your grass. Just pay him to cut it. Mm-hmm. Because he's out there jacking stuff up. Because I've had customers, they're like, well, I follow this schedule or that schedule. And then I'm like, man, no, somebody did something extra. I know.
Last time you were in, that's what you said. The neighbor actually came and tattletaled on a customer before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And she's like, well, I didn't do anything. Okay, right.
Somebody did.
It's all good. We're all going to find out anyway. So like what I'll find out is the lawn care guy will, they'll be putting stuff down on it too sometimes. Not every time. A lot of them don't. A lot of guys are like, I feel them. They ain't doing anything they don't get paid to do.
Right.
Right. But occasionally there's these lawn care guys out there that will fertilize the lawn. They think they're doing something good for you or something. So I've had quite a few customers who are like, man, I was fertilizing. Then I've realized my lawn guy was fertilizing. I'm like, yeah, that's why this lawn is toast. Mm-hmm. It's burnt.
Yeah. I think I had that happen one time because in the winter, you know how there's that other grass that'll grow in the grass? You know what I'm saying? So that way in the wintertime, it's still super green. I'll see some neighbors
like you can get ryegrass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Overseed with rye.
Yeah, I had that happen one time in the winter. I'm like, why? But then I was like, yeah, I need y'all to come keep mowing because it's they're going to make, continue to work because sometimes in the winter they move on to different things.
Or what they'll do, and this happens a lot in lawn care too. Well, customer A said they liked it, so let me do it for customer B. Like, no.
Right.
I didn't say I liked it, didn't say I wanted it, didn't ask. Don't touch it.
Yeah, but usually their intentions are good. They think they're doing
you a favor. Yeah, I know, but I also know lawn care, and I know enough to know that half the time customer A didn't know what he was doing anyway. So what he liked, I don't like.
Yeah.
But it's a challenging business out there. There's a lot of misinformation, right? A lot of marketed information that's more for billing and selling than actual results.
Yeah.
What
are the two main, and actually I put this in the description of this video, and this is a test for you.
Whoa.
Found this from your website. What are the two main ideas, beliefs, principles that Hippie Fertilizing has as a company and you as an individual?
I like this test. Number 1, it must support soil biology. Okay, it must feed microbes. It must feed fungi. It must not hurt earthworms or other things that are a part of the soil food web, which also means birds. Birds are also like a part of the soil food web, right? So it can't negatively impact that stuff. All right. Number 2, which is just as important as number 1, is if I can't touch it with my bare hands, I'm not using it because I'm exposed to the stuff all day long. If I can't eat it, in which if some of you ask, yes, I have. Okay. I've eaten some Humates Plus. I've drinking my hippie juice. I breathe it in every day. I'm not trying to go to work and wear a mask and gloves and goggles and all this get up. You go out there and wear that. Just walk around for 10 minutes in your lawn.
Not today.
With that get up.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Okay. And then it doesn't even matter how protected you are wearing that stuff. You're going to expose yourself to it taking it off. Or what if you forget, right? You have stuff all over you and you walk into the house and you touch stuff. And now like your wife who's, like a pregnant wife, man, babies are susceptible to a lot of things because they don't have a detox system the way that adults do. So they're 10 times more exposed to it, So if I go in there and I had a bunch of junk all over my hands, now my wife touches the same area and she's rubbing her belly or something.
Yeah.
Great, man. Now I just exposed my little baby to that stuff. I ain't having it, dudes. It's not worth it. If you can't touch it with your 5 fingers and your 10 toes, and hopefully you got 10 fingers, don't use it.
So those are the two main rules and beliefs: support soil biology, and that you can touch it. It's safe for your pets, your kids, for you or anybody to walk out there and be able to touch it.
For our ecosystem, our environment, right? Your dog goes and eats a bag of Microlife. He may get the runs because it's like supercharged probiotics, but he'll just be cleaned out. He'll be all right.
Right now it's 8:57. This is KHEA Radio.com, 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy. I'm talking with AJ with Hippie Fertilizing. There's been a lot of cool topics that we've talked about already. One, I think the first thing we talked about was it rained a lot in the past.
Yeah.
So what should people be doing right now?
After at least 3 days of a heavy rain, water the lawn again because it'll have a huge negative impact once it gets so hot and it doesn't get the water. Because trust me, that 2 weeks of rain doesn't mean nothing 3-4 days later.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
And mow your grass really high.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that one earlier, but mow it 4 inches or above. If most of you have St. Augustine grass like a hippie.
Yeah.
It likes to be high.
That's something else I learned from you. That's what I'm talking about. I said, hey, I love when AJ comes in because I always learn something. And before we went on air, so that's one of the things I told you. I've been telling the guys, like, hey, just mow it high. And my grass is higher, but it still looks neat. It still looks nice. It looks neat, and it's growing. It's been raining a lot, but you got to make sure the sprinklers are back on. And then the next thing that we talked about that stuck out to me was the marketing in Leak City, the new billboard, all these neighborhoods that are built up and water and it drains. So it's important for people to, I guess, think of your neighbors, think of the future generations, and not necessarily use those chemicals.
And think of our environment, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got Whispering Lakes. They have acre lots. That's a lot of coverage. But you take any neighborhood out there. How many acres is it on? How many acres of wild land did they strip away and put urbanized lots? Which, cool. Hey, man, I love your house. It's beautiful. I hope you love it. Go home, be happy, all that good stuff. But it's like, now I think it's our responsibility. It's our due diligence. It's like God created this for us, man. What is our job? To take care of it, right? So all of your lawns are micro ecosystems that add to the macro ecosystem. Because it's not just our lawn, it's our lawn.
Yeah. Whenever you explain that to someone for the first time, what's usually the response?
Fortunately, I will say the response is often pretty nice. It's kind of like, wow, I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
And it totally, I'll have to say more often than not, I can just completely see the perspective change. Because I've had more and more customers like, I didn't think about it like that, AJ. All right, I'm going to lay off the weeds. I'm like, hey, and when you do, you lay off your own stress. because you're stressing about something that's, not nearly as important as like your family's health, right? And the health of our environment, Like, I'm a diesel driving dude. I love creature comforts, but I also think I can like have a balance, or at least do my best to have the balance there.
Yeah. It's a perspective.
Yeah, and an awareness.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, that's awesome. AJ, what else should we be doing right now? Because it is hot. It's getting hotter. It's not even July yet. My wife reminds me of that all the time. You said it's kind of hanging around the 90s, or like the average weather.
Yeah, and the lows are like in the low 80s, which is warm at nighttime. It's hot, One of the best things, if your lawn is looking kind of rough and you want it to look better, green it up, things like that, like Humates Plus. It's an amazing product. You can use it all year long. It's safe for the summertime. It's safe for your kids. It's like the number one freaking soil conditioner out there. It's 004. And I carry it, so if you're in our local area, you buy it from me, I drop it off at your door. You didn't even have to go anywhere, okay? Another thing that's really good for a lot of plants in the summer is liquid seaweed. Liquid seaweed helps with like drought and heat tolerance. It's also safe for everything. It has natural plant hormones. It helps stimulate root growth. It even helps plants, in a sense, like build up stuff that helps them to better naturally ward off bugs. I say that because we're all susceptible. Don't just think because you sprayed some seaweed you shouldn't have any bugs, but you'll be less likely to have like a big pest infestation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that stuff's important because that, like, when I look at the pests, some of them can destroy your grass.
Oh yeah. Chinch bugs are like, oh man, I wish I had Goku powers and I could just spirit bomb them all.
Do they do they provide any benefit that we know of?
So, on an ecological sense, right?
Yeah.
Ecologically, I think they do, because when chinch bugs come through and kill all the grass, you will almost always see a very biodiverse lawn with more weeds. So I'm like, maybe this is nature's way of trying to keep telling us, hey, add stuff to the mix, dude, because having one plant type can be scary and devastating. It's the same in farming, and it's the same in lawn care. You get a species that will come through and wreak havoc. Because for a single species, besides us, because we kill our own lawns, chinch bugs cost the most economical damage in the South, for sure.
And they just strip all the water. Is that what they
do? So they suck the sap out of the grass and they poison it at the same time, so that grass becomes like hydrophobic and it can't absorb any more nutrients or water. So one of the simplest things to do if you think you have chinch bugs, and it works on a myriad of other bugs, is liquid blue Dawn dish soap mixed well with water. Okay, you don't need tons and tons of it, but you do need to do it very frequently for it to be highly effective. Okay.
So Dawn dish soap and water, and you would kind of mix it to where it's like a little suddy and bubbly.
Yeah. And me, I prefer, if you got an average lawn, like just a hose-in sprayer. Put about 4 to 6 ounces of Dawn dish soap, fill it up the rest of the way with water, put it on like a medium setting, and go to town on your lawn. Bugs do not like dish soap. But don't use other types of dish soap because it'll cause more damage. Okay?
Yeah.
And make sure to water it in good.
I like Dawn will sometimes do that, like a marketing thing, and they'll show how they use Dawn if there's like an oil spill and they're cleaning the baby ducks and all of that. Just pulls at the heartstrings.
It really does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we're going to use anything that's going to have like, quote unquote, a negative impact, might as well be the very least negative impact on nature as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm just imagining those little chinch bugs instead of the baby ducks, and if they liked it, it's like trying to clean them off. It's like, no.
So you know what happens if you wash baby ducks?
What?
They will sink. You're not allowed to let them back in the water for a while because they got to get oils back on their skins.
I didn't know that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I'm thinking like washing the little chinch bugs and the oils off of them, except it's bad.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because if you wash ducks real good and just let them go back, man, boop, they will sink.
Wow. AJ, so the rest of this summer, what are some goals that you have as a business? Like AJ, Hippie Fertilizing, just like trying to expand, maintain new services? What do you got going on?
So I'm glad you asked, man. Lately, I've been taking like different products that I like and whipping them together, like craft fertilizing, okay? No joke. And it's working phenomenally well, all right?
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah. I don't want to tell you all my secrets, guys, okay? Let me do it for you.
Subscribe to YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get some hints there.
Oh, you definitely
Or
will.
TikTok.
Or, I'll just do it for you. Yeah, I will have some TikTok videos coming soon. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. But then the other thing is, been really putting a little more emphasis on building monthly fertilizing customers. And now that we're, I'm growing a little more established, like I can provide such a better service in terms of like quality of product and consistency. And it's really improving. I'm loving the results that I'm seeing. My customers are loving the results that they're seeing. I've gone back and forth with like the lawn restoration process and everything. I have upped that game just a little bit because I tried a couple things and the products cost a little bit more, but dang,
It works. Yeah.
the difference is awesome, right? So, I don't want to like grow too much because that creates a whole nother world of problems that I don't want to deal with. But yeah, we want to really, really hone in on like the League City, Friendswood, Pearland area, Clear Lake, build up our monthly clientele, and just really take what we have right now because it's really, really, really good, and just keep it going for everyone.
That's awesome. You mentioned the craft time when it comes to like yard care. Do you do that because it's like, hey, I wonder if this would work, or do you see an issue pop up and you're like, okay, I got to find a solution to that?
So the deal is I like, say 5 products, right? I like Humates Plus, Microlife Ultimate, the new 424 that came out this year, Micro Grow Granular, Grassmaker, and Hybrid. 6 products, all granulars. Love them, but they have different properties. So I like to take them in different ways and literally mix them together so I can have it in one bag, right? Because to try and tell you who already probably don't want to go fertilize your lawn, right? Hey, Gardy, I know you don't even want to put the first bag down, but here's 2 more that I want you to take, and it's best if you mix them up together with a shovel and then do it so you get a nice even spread.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to do that?
Then just like it gets nothing.
It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But I do it because I see these slight little differences. And I know a lot of the products that are in, I know all the stuff that's in them. I just can't rattle them all off the top of my head, But there's like usually 3 or 4 key little differences in each product. And I'm like, all this works really good. All this works really good. Why can't we blend it together?
Mm-hmm.
Green, thick, lush turf that looks like one of those commercial, like a corporate commercial, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? Like the big company, but it's natural. It's organic.
Is it possible?
It's working.
It's working, yeah.
It's working.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I got these pictures, man. This customer sent me this stuff that was 5 days later.
Mm-hmm. You could tell the difference?
Day and night, man. Wow. And then less than 14 days later, he's like, dude, I have grass. I have lots of grass.
Yeah.
I have grass now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, doing these little things that I've tried, they're working for sure. Like even the Grassmaker product, it says in its description, helps reduce weed pressure.
What does that mean?
So it helps reduce your weeds because it's feeding the grass species and not the weed species. Okay? It has one of the types of fungi taken out of there. So it's a very specialized biological inoculant that's in this specific product, but it still has some of the goodies that Humates Plus has, but it doesn't have the nitrogen source that Hybrid has. So it's like understanding what's on that freaking label, right? And knowing now, and also seeing it. Like Grassmaker takes a minute to work, but once Grassmaker starts working for you, it's like the long-term results are there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also something that we thought about, with other products, you can lose about 80% of the product through leaching, right? Where it goes into the water table, that stuff. Well, guess what? When you use stuff like all these beautifully crafted organic fertilizer products, pound for pound, you keep what you put on the ground. Okay?
Is that a new one?
Yes,
Pound
it
for
is.
pound,
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Pound for pound, you keep what you put on the ground. If you spend $40-$50, right, you trying to lose 80% of your $50?
No, sir.
No, you want to keep it. Now, is there a little bit of loss, like if we got some rain?
Pound for pound, keep what you put on the ground.
That's right.
Okay. So here's another question that it came to me whenever you were talking about this. So what do you think is harder to read, a food label or a label for like a fertilizer or a product? Or are they both just as confusing?
So I think they can both equally be confusing, but 9 times out of 10, you're not even going to pay attention to the label that's on a product for your lawn or for gardening nearly as much as you're going to pay attention to the food that you put in your body. When you should realize and fully understand you're being equally exposed to both. Right?
And exposing other people. And that kind of leads back to that other thing, your life, your health, your choice for food and stuff you put in your body, but sometimes it's other people's life, health, but it's not their choice.
Or your kids or your pets, you know? Can I ask Boston, my beautiful red husky, hey, Boston, is it cool if we put this on your lawn?
What do you think he would say?
He'd be like, well,
what's in it?
Are you going to put good lotion on me when I'm getting all itchy and scratchy?
Yeah.
Like, is it okay that I feel like throwing up all the time after this? So then I'd be like, well, probably not. So I probably shouldn't do that. You know?
Okay, here's a comment that I want to read. This is from Nina. She said, wow, just had someone mention AJ to me last night. We'll have to check him out. Nina, who mentioned AJ to you?
Yeah, that's important to know.
Who was it? We want to know. And then, check him out for sure. How can somebody get a hold of you and find out more information?
My number is 832-277-3710. Got my phone on me most of the time. If I don't answer, please leave a message. I will call you back. You can fill out the contact form on my website at hippiefertilizing.com. You can also message me through Facebook. Just search Hippie Fertilizing or at Hippie Fertilizing. My business will pop up. Please send me a message there. So it's 3 different effective ways. Emails, I'll be honest, those are kind of the first that sometimes get overlooked. I get a lot of emails, and that's not like the first thing I'm looking for.
What's your phone number one more time?
832-277-3710.
37.
Awesome results.
I love it.